Hello, listeners. This is episode 17 of Art Talk. And this is the first of a series I do for an upcoming workshop for art collectors or aspiring art collectors, investors, and of course, always artists. Before I go into today's topic, let me briefly introduce myself. I'm a trained artist who also studied art history. And my master thesis is about Edith Wilde, the director of the Museum of Modern Art in Eindhoven from 1946 till 1963. He then was appointed director of the Museum of Modern Art Amsterdam till 1984, after which he retired. The most interesting part I found was how he built collections for both museums, especially that of the museum in Amsterdam. He built an astonishing collection, and during my visits to many museums in Europe, I could tell that he picked the best paintings from a specific artist. How was he able to do that? Well, during my research for my PhD, I found archival material that had correspondence from him with artists and galleries he dealt with. So in 1964, it was, when he decided on an exhibition of American pop art, he wrote that they should not spill the beans till he had a chance to make his choice for the museum. Why? Because as soon as the word was out that the pop art artists had an exhibition in the Stedelijk Museum Amsterdam, the price would rise substantially. So he wanted to have the cheapest price. And this is a very artificial way of values allocated towards art and is very subjective. However, de Wilde had something else. De Wilde had both a good eye and a deep-seated love for oil paintings. As a young man, he painted himself. He wanted to study at the Rijksacademie of Amsterdam. However, he never did. De Wilde became a lawyer instead. He said they took him on, but they did not. Nevertheless, he had painting lessons and was part of an art group in Nijmegen, the Netherlands. Being the youngest director of the Eindhoven Museum, he trained his eyes even more. I will not say that every collector needs to become an artist, but a bit of eye training and knowledge of periods to discover what you want to invest in or collect is essential to becoming a good connoisseur. During my studies, I learned that only a few people decide what we see and who is seen. And in who, I mean the artist. That in itself is as fake as it can be. One period of art is appreciated by a director, and the next director goes with another trend. The art goes in the depot, and different art comes on the walls. This even shows in art academies where students take on trends more than learning the skills and developing their own voice. We can say that the majority of people are trained with a few people that tell what is good and what is not good. Let me be very honest. There obviously is good art and bad art. However, saying beauty is in the eye of the beholder is a bit different if the beholder has not enough information or trained eye to tell what that beauty is and why. Or, as someone recently told me, you cannot know what you do not know. Fair enough. So we have to train so that not only the happy few can tell you what is good, which is very subjective, but you can decide for yourself. The art world, as it currently is, does not show all the great, most of all highly skilled artists out there. The reason for that is that only a few people in the world decide what is hot, in, trending, and apparently valuable. Many call themselves experts, and sometimes I ask myself what their real expertise is. Often I have seen and experienced when someone who is an acclaimed expert has a story about art that is not at all what the artist himself meant it to be. On one occasion, I watched this embarrassing experience on Dutch TV when a museum director started a talk about a painting. The artist, who was there, interrupted and told the director that it was not what she said. Far from it, even. To avoid embarrassment, she bluntly told the artist off and said that it did not matter because it was what she saw in it. The artist did not really appreciate that and told her off. This incident shows how important it is that artists have a clear why, and the art they create represents what they stand for or against, so that their story is apparent in their art. The way art historians are taught is by looking at the provenance, at the isms art historians always need to label to place art into, and a form of close reading by describing an art object as precisely as possible. You then specialize or choose a topic to specialize in. Art history, however, was not an academic study to start with. That involved from well-willing connoisseurs who loved a specific era or artist. And to go even further, museums and galleries began with collections of nobles who wanted to indulge themselves and show off. It then evolved over time into museums whose purpose was educating the people. What we see now are large auction houses that artificially increase the value of an art piece. And often it is investors who do not invest in art so much as well in the name of the artist. Now let me be clear. Artists' names, as I said before, are often pushed to the front. An important notice is that Picasso did not create only masterpieces, just like Mozart did not write all master compositions. Even more important for collectors and investors is the knowledge of fake art, art of famous artists that are copied and sold for millions. I mean, you can fake a provenance, and there are stories enough, even in Holland. So this in itself is a self-fulfilling system that had already his massive downfall in the 80s. And what I believe does not really serve art collectors, investors, or artists. And most art collectors do not know the artist they buy from. And artists do not know who has bought their art. That is because a gallery does not want artists to know that the collectors are their clients. It makes it obvious that a gallery owner can plug the art he gets the most commission for, or what he personally likes best. Investing in art as a commodity is a bit of a cold and not really appreciative of art, and the artist and even the collector. If collectors have more insight and better trained eyes, they will become better connoisseurs and more confident collectors. Artists and collectors need each other. Wouldn't it be nice for a collector or aspiring collector who can make a decision based on your own knowledge, not being dependent on someone in a gallery who tells you what is good or not? My mission is to use my knowledge as an artist and art historian to bring end collectors and artists closer. Teaching collectors how to train their eyes that align with their hearts will make them confident when they choose and build their collections. That was for today. Next week, I start with contemporary art, since that is the most wanted. So how do you look at abstract art, and why? Why is it that this appeals so much to collectors? You can follow me on Instagram under the handle Karin Merks, or facebook.com Karin Merks Fine Art. I will put that also in the show notes, so don't hesitate to follow me. You can follow also me on YouTube, and that will be also in a link in the post. I thank you for listening, and speak next week. Bye.